This is the TeamClearCoat podcast. We're two friends finally doing something about our obsession with cars.
We're probably not doing it well, but it should be fun. We might actually learn something along the way. I'm Ian.
And I'm Dave, and this is our show.
Dave, what is this?
I drew you.
Why?
On the Blanket Fort messaging system.
Why?
Because you're a good subject.
I am not sure how I feel about this.
Why? Do you not like it? Do you think it's bad? It's a crummy drawing.
Well, it's a little too accurate in how much hair there is.
Yeah, that's easy to do. I drew like kind of just a rough
I like
figure.
that you captured my neck beard accurately. That was nice of you.
No,
I appreciate that.
No, that wasn't supposed to be neck beard. It was supposed to be stubble and then chest hair.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But again, that doesn't answer the why.
Right.
The why part is what I don't want to say. I want to say troubling. Troubling, I think, is the word I'm looking for.
I doodle sometimes.
Okay.
And you were in my view, and so I doodled you.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as you don't diddle me after you doodle me, I'm fine.
What I do with my doodles is up to me. I'm gonna Instagram my doodle of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please don't do that. What are we doing here? Oh yeah, this is a car show.
It's a car podcast, Ian. My name is Dave.
My name is Ian.
We are Team Clearcoat.
Yes.
An automotive podcast.
We are. And this is the second part of a two-part, very special episode.
It is.
In which we drove cross-country.
We sure did.
To participate in an endurance race.
Yes.
At Road America in Wisconsin. We're in Denver. We're going to cover the race itself.
Yes.
And the drive home.
Yes.
And let's just get this kind of out of the way.
Yes.
It gets a little silly. It gets a little silly by the end of it.
Yes, it gets really silly by the end of it. But listeners of the show will probably just expect that.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. They become accustomed to our joie de vivre, Ian.
Okay.
The vector that we follow.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, that's true.
That ends up with farts.
Yes.
Although tonight has kind of started with them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in a bit.
Uh-huh.
Let's get to the task at hand, which is
Yeah.
So we
God. Oh, we're doing a podcast. Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
So we're gonna drop you right into the thing you're about to hear is us on the drive home from the race on Sunday.
Yes. So the race was Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
And you guys last heard, if you listened to the last episode, us talking to Jake after Test and Tune on Friday.
Yes.
Right? And so then we had Saturday and Sunday. And so ChumpCar treats these 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, kind of as two separate races.
Yeah,
but kind
for this
of the
particular
same.
For this particular race, it was 2 7-hour races.
Yep.
And they were separate races. Yeah.
But the award ceremony at the end awarded combined laps for both days.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. So they did they scored it as like 2 separate, but then they did awards for just combined.
One.
It was kind of a strange thing, but
yeah. So we finished on Sunday. We'll talk about that. We were coming off of the high of Sunday, so we kind of talk about that first, and then we'll get back to talking about Saturday.
Yeah.
So if it gets a little confusing, that's what happened. We Tarantino'd that thing, right? And so then after the award ceremony, which we didn't get any awards, and that's fine because we didn't really deserve any. Spoiler alert. Maybe an award in friendship.
Oh, God. All right.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's keep going.
So the award ceremony wrapped up, at about 6 p.m., Ian? Something like that?
Yeah, a little before then, because we were on the road by 6. And we did the awards, handed out the rest of our stickers to people, said our goodbyes, and then pointed our van west and started driving back to Denver.
On a side note, real quick, if you came to the podcast because you had the misfortune of meeting Ian and or I at Road America, please send us an email, teamclearcoat@gmail.com. We would really love to hear from you, and we will send you more stickers if you want them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Or not.
Or don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But reach out to us because we want to know if anybody came to the show because of talking to Ian or I.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we left. We just got in the minivan. We were all packed up, and we helped load the race car, and we just hit the road ready to go. We needed to grab some dinner on the way out. We found the perfect restaurant for you and I.
Yeah, we did. It's us
in
a restaurant.
It is you and I personified.
In a Wisconsin restaurant.
In a Wisconsin. The only thing it didn't have was coffee.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. The only thing that could have improved that restaurant would have been coffee.
Right?
Yeah. They should really do something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the scene. The sun is already going down. We have 16 hours ahead of us.
Yep.
We are spent because, as you're going to hear, Saturday was kind of a long night for us.
Yeah.
We did the full race day. You managed to steal a nap on Sunday a little bit, right? Like 20, 30 minutes or something?
Oh, yeah. It was maybe only 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah, it was really quick. Yeah.
But yeah, so Dave, you were driving first.
Yep.
We stopped in Fond du Lac to grab some food
at the Ian and Dave restaurant.
At the Ian and Dave restaurant, and then we hit the road.
Yeah.
So that's what you're going to listen to now.
Ian, what's that rattle that I hear?
That is a family heirloom that we are, for some reason, transporting most of the way back across the country to Denver.
You know you can ship things, right?
Nope. I didn't know that,
okay.
And I don't care for the implication.
Okay.
I will say,
yeah.
First of all, we're in Wisconsin.
Yep.
We're eating from a place called Burgers and Beignets. Because Wisconsin.
Hashtag because Wisconsin. We found it on Yelp, and we saw it and said, well, yes.
By the way, the new name of our podcast? Burgers and Beignets.
Burgers and Beignets.
Because for one, this is all delicious. And for two, it's us in a restaurant, Dave.
It is.
It's us in a restaurant.
It's you and me. You are the burger. I am the beignet.
Yeah. A little salty, a little sweet.
Yep.
Hot. Yep. Yeah. I like it.
There we go.
And then the big thing that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
This weekend, and today in particular. Today
was a fantastic day.
I just want to say about today.
Woo!
Woo!
Yeah!
I am, the race ended 3 hours ago.
Yep.
And I am still feeling adrenaline.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is straight up giddy.
I am. I'm in a good mood.
If I asked him to kiss me on the cheek right now, he'd consider it for a second.
I'm not going to do that, but I did pause. Yeah, I'm over the moon with how well today went. So we ended up, it's a little unclear because we were just going off a race monitor, which isn't official. We won't know for sure for probably another week or two, but it looked like we ended up third in class for the day.
Yep.
And 20th overall.
Yeah.
Which is kind of exactly where I was saying my over the moon.
I would be happy with this.
I would be thrilled if we did this.
Yeah.
That was exactly what I said.
Yes.
I said podium in the class and 20th and top 20 overall. We squeaked in. We squeaked in to my best case scenario, but
guess what? We did that in one of the days.
Yeah.
Because Chump treats these days as two separate races.
Yeah, there's two separate races. But then the classes, you get awarded podiums based on your cumulative totals for the 2 days.
Yes.
So it's kind of like one big race, but kind of not. It's kind of weird how they do it, but yeah, it was today was a really good day.
Today was an awesome day. So
last night was not so good.
Last night was rough. Well, yesterday was rough. So yesterday, you may have seen on our Facebook feed of me explaining how the alternator broke off the car.
it sheared the alternator bracket.
I didn't even know that was an option. I didn't know that was a thing that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you lose the support, the belt tension really takes over, and I mean, it's just applying torque. Yeah, so.
And it must
Pardon
have broke.
me, I had a burger burp as I'm shoving French fries into my mouth because after French fries, we're eating beignets.
Yeah. And so Dave's just like trying to power through French fries to get to beignets.
We made a food pile.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think so yesterday that must have broken like as I was leaving the pits.
It did, yeah. And
so if you're ever at Road America and you happen to find an alternator belt and part of an engine block from a 1987 Maserati bi-turbo, you can
put it in the mail.
Yeah, put it in the mail to Ian's dad in northern Wisconsin, care of Really Bad Decisions.
Yep. So let's see. So we had the alternator, but we got it fixed. We got it back out on the track.
Yeah.
And so we got it fixed by kludging together some 2x4, a little bit of wood, like a wooden wedge.
Yeah, there was carpentry involved.
There was. Anytime you're in the garage and fixing a car and you hear a circular saw cutting wood, you know you're doing it TeamClearCoat. Mm-hmm. You know you are doing things according to the way that we would do them.
You know why?
Why is that?
It's Italian.
Yeah.
So it's Catholic. It appreciated it. You acting like Jesus.
Yep,
yeah, because he was a
that's
carpenter.
it.
Yeah.
You just had to put some holy water and some carpentry into it.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
Okay.
And then it would have helped if you had worn sandals.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't shave, so maybe I had that going for me.
Yep, that helps.
Okay.
All that helps.
All right.
Yeah, and then what else happened yesterday?
Yesterday was also the day that the clutch grenaded.
The clutch. And the clutch, so there was no slipping.
Yep.
There was no smell.
Just instantly gone.
Yeah. There was a clutch there 1 second, and then not there another second. And that happened right after my stint.
Yep, and it happened when your father got in the car.
Yeah, so yesterday what happened was my uncle went out in the beginning. And he had a pretty good stint.
He was losing electrons.
He was slowly losing voltage throughout the stint. We cut his stint a little bit short.
Yep.
I got in the car. And then it immediately broke.
Yep.
Like as I was leaving the pits, all of a sudden the voltage dropped to like 10.
Yeah.
And I barely made it back around because Road America is long. It's over 4 miles.
Yep. Sure is.
So if you break something on pit out, you're limping that thing quite a long way back.
You really are.
So that was interesting.
Yeah.
And then
I'm glad you made it back safe, buddy.
Yeah, me too. It's sketchy in some places.
It is.
And then so we bodged that together.
Yep.
After a couple hours, and then I got back in the car.
Yep.
And drove for like almost a full 2 hours.
Yep. And so you started running out of fuel.
Yeah. And then I brought it in, and my dad got in.
Yep.
And had maybe
2 laps.
Maybe 2 laps.
Yeah,
and then
for sure, 2 laps.
The clutch grenaded, he thought it was the shifter because he couldn't get it out of 4th gear.
Yep.
And because he didn't, there was no other symptoms with the clutch. So
Yep. Yeah, normally you'd feel it slipping, or you would smell burnt clutch, which has a really distinct smell.
Yeah.
Or you might feel some chunk.
Smells like money. Smells like money.
Yeah. Some chunk, like maybe as you're pushing through the clutch motion.
Yeah.
You might feel some hesitation or resistance in areas you're not used to.
Yeah.
But this was just, boom, clutch to the floor.
Yeah.
And so, so it was, we thought it might have been the throwout bearing. And the throwout bearing, for anybody who doesn't know, basically like a manual transmission has 4 parts. It has the shifter, the thing that you shift. It has the throwout bearing. The throwout bearing is what actually it moves onto the pressure plate. The pressure plate pushes on the clutch and disengages the clutch from the flywheel.
Right.
And on the engine. And so we thought that since it suddenly went, that it was the throwout bearing, right? Because those can grenade and just come apart. And like the Saab, it has a metal bearing inside of a plastic housing, right? And sometimes you think, like in a race condition, that plastic housing is going to get really hot and melt and blow up. And if you ride the clutch, that's what will go, is your throwout bearing, because it'll be spinning way more than it's used to spinning. It typically is used for that shift, and it disengages and it cools down. Mm-hmm. So it's not designed to spin for like hours and hours, like a wheel bearing or something like that.
Yeah, that's why like when you're in traffic or at a light, you're not supposed to just sit there with the car in gear.
Yep.
And you're the clutch in.
Right. You're just kind of supposed to put it in neutral and let the clutch out, right? And that takes that pressure off the throwout bearing. It doesn't need to spin. So we thought it was the throwout bearing. Did we have a spare throwout bearing? Yes. Did we have a spare throwout bearing in the same state? No. So
it was in the same state. It was just 5 hours away.
Oh, 5 hours. Okay. Yes. Wisconsin's big.
Wisconsin is big.
So Ian's dad left to go get the throwout bearing, right? He met your mom?
My aunt.
Your aunt halfway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so while they were gone, we started taking apart the...
Which, by the way, we have to hope that, for my uncle's sake, that she doesn't listen to this and realize that we didn't need the throwout bearing.
Well, I mean, what can you do? So...
Avoid home for Thanksgiving?
It was nice knowing your uncle. Yeah, so then we started taking the transmission apart, which getting the transmission off a 1987 Maserati bi-turbo sucks. That sucks.
Let's just start with the starter.
Yeah, yes, the starter sucks.
So to get the you have to take the starter off because it attaches to the flywheel, which is within the bell housing. So you have to take that off, which on a normal car is not a big deal.
No.
The Italians, though, decided that it would be a great idea to put it within the V, which is pretty cool. That's a cool little place for the starter.
Yeah, because nothing else would be there.
Right. Except for the intake manifold, which is over top of the starter.
Yes. Yeah.
Which means it's impossible to get to it.
So getting to those 3 bolts for the starter was really, really hard.
Literally, at the same time that we started taking apart the starter...
Yep.
The guys in the bay next to us had an E30 M3.
Yes.
Or not M3, an E30 3 Series and an M3 wing. They started taking the engine out.
Yep.
We got the starter off and the steering rack
disconnected. Yep.
In the time it took them to pull the entire engine and transmission out of that BMW.
Yes.
That's how bad it sucks.
And you and Jake were doing that.
And Dwayne.
Yeah, so we had 3 people doing that. 2.5 of them with very good mechanical abilities.
Yes.
And then you.
And then me.
No, I want to say your mechanic abilities this weekend grew. Like, you were on point mechanically.
It's not that I don't... It's sort of a confidence thing too, because like when it's not my car, and I don't have to rely on it to move places, then it's not a big deal.
Or transport a baby.
Right. But it's more that I get nervous about stuff. So when I have other people there to be like, oh no, that's the right thing to do, to confirm, then I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like you always say that the execution is where it breaks down for you, because all this stuff. You see how things connect.
Yeah.
But this time your execution was on point, man.
Thank you.
It was really, really well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and having Jake there was amazing, because mechanically he's not just mechanically, he's just an awesome dude all around.
Yeah, he was on top of things, and he stayed calm, and it was great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
he brought me Tic Tacs. It was awesome.
So he's just a lifetime pass.
Yes. Right.
So that got us until what? Like how late were we there? Almost 11. It was after 11, right?
I got to sleep at midnight. So we wrapped up around 11.
Yeah.
When we were taking the transmission off while Ian's dad was running to get the throwout bearing, we discovered that it wasn't the throwout bearing.
Yeah.
Right? And so we discovered that it was the clutch, and we had a spare clutch ready to go. So we put the clutch and the correct pressure plate for the clutch back in the car, put everything back together. There was only one little panic moment when the pressure plate bolts weren't tightened down correctly, and then everything fell into place after that. And honestly, like,
it was awesome getting that transmission out and back into the car. We did it. You guys did an amazing job. We did a great job.
Yeah. And again, it took us to change the clutch.
It did.
It took us the same amount of time to change the clutch as it took the BMW guys to take out the engine, drive to Milwaukee and back,
get an engine,
and then put it back together.
Yes.
That's how bad. And they had to they went and got a block. They didn't even get a full engine. They had to reassemble an engine.
Yes.
Get it running.
Well, they had the block and
we beat them. We beat them by what? 20 minutes?
I don't know. Yeah, when did they say they got out of there?
It was not long after we left. They were finishing up when we left.
That's pretty awesome. They did awesome work, and they were awesome guys.
Yeah, they were really cool.
So, so we got the car started. We put it in gear. The clutch gripped, and we backed the car back into the garage and went home for the night, knowing that clutch was not quite as powerful as the one that came off it before.
But we drove it a total of 10 feet, so
we did.
We felt confident.
And it was also the thing that we had right then. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It was not 5 hours away. So your dad came back with the throwout bearing and was kind of relieved to know that it wasn't the throwout bearing.
Yeah.
And, spirits were actually pretty high at that point, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Because we had all just worked together to doing a mechanical repair. I think your dad had some time to clear his head.
Yeah.
And kind of just start to think through some stuff, which I think really helped.
Yeah.
And so it was good. It was really good.
It went as well as it could have.
You're exactly right. Yeah, you're exactly right. We didn't have a single sheared bolt during that process, which is amazing. Right? For a car built in 1987.
Well, it's probably because they just put a clutch in, a week ago.
True, but I mean, typically you're going to shear one bolt when you do a job that big. At least I would,
Yeah, no, it went, again, as well as it could have. Other than the one thing that I would say went really poorly was the jacking the car up. How long did it take us to get the car in the air?
The jacking, the jack situation was not good. So they have some work to do on the car to establish solid jack points. Yeah.
Well, and just stiffen the floor.
Yes.
It's a little sketchy the way it is now.
It is very sketchy. Yeah.
Around turn 13 today. My seat moved, and I could hear the sheet metal of the floor pop.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I would call sketchy.
That's sketchy.
Yep.
And then also it doesn't sit straight on the jacks.
No, it does not.
That's also a little sketchy.
Yes.
When you're thinking about piloting it 125 miles an hour down the front straight of Road America.
Exactly. So let's talk about the next day. We woke up.
Sunday. Yes. Let's talk about Sunday. I'm clapping. I'm peaking the levels.
That's okay. You're amped up, and you should be, because today was an amazing day.
Today was a good day. So we got up, got everything packed.
Did you have to use your AK?
I did not have to use my AK.
It was a good day.
It was a good day. Actually, I got that. That was a youthful reference.
Yep.
Except that was 25 years ago.
I'm still shouting. I'm worried about being picked up on the mic, so I'm going to yell this whole time.
It's fine. Well, also that RX-7 that was two pits away from us was the loudest car on the planet.
Yes. And so we might have had all the hearing loss.
Yes, all of it.
What?
Tinnitus sucks. So today, can I tell you something that I'm proud of? Can I toot my own horn for a second?
You need to, because your horn is toot worthy, Ian.
Okay. So I think that on the strategy front, I was on point today.
You were.
Because I suggested the driver order, and I was the one pushing for us to lengthen our stint, and I think that was what kept us in the running.
It did.
So basically what happened was we decided on a driver order of my dad going up first, mostly because he didn't get very much drive time yesterday.
Right.
He got 4 laps in, half of which were fourth gear only.
And if anybody is going to have the expertise of babying a new clutch, your dad probably has the absolute best feel for that.
Probably.
Yeah.
And then I suggested that Craig go next. I go third because it's 7 hours.
Yep.
So I figured if we're doing full 2-hour stints, or even just south of that, we would want to have Craig back in the car since he's the fastest driver.
Yep.
For the last hour.
So, and the idea is because of how physically demanding it is, Craig recovers while you're out for your stint, and then he's in good enough shape to pull another hour and 20 minutes, hour and something like that in the car.
Right.
I'm ready for beignets.
Okay. Here are beignets. Here, we'll just swap these. I'm still eating French fries, so we'll just swap.
Okay.
So sorry, there's road trip logistics happening.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you.
All the fried food. This is the fried food area.
Yeah, this is all
on the floor of the Quest.
Yep.
So, I have French fries in my mouth now.
Yeah, no problem. I got a beignet in my mouth.
So, Craig's stint was awesome.
It was.
He was on top of it.
Well, first of all, let's talk about your dad's stint. So it rained last night.
Yeah, my dad's
It rained last night, so the track was wet. There was no new precipitation falling. But it was a beautiful, foggy Wisconsin morning. It was gorgeous.
It was very humid.
Yeah, very humid.
It was like 60 degrees out and I was sweating.
Yeah.
It was so humid. So the track was not drying.
No.
And it was, it was pretty cold track temperatures and stuff. And it was greasy.
Yep.
Greasy.
Lots of movement out there. Lots of people spinning out.
Because it just kind of did like a slow mist all night sort of thing.
Yep.
And so it was probably worse than if it had just rained.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone was kind of tiptoeing around, and my dad did exactly what he needed to do on that stint, which was just
slowly,
bring the car back for the next stint.
Yep.
Stay on the lead lap.
Yep.
And start finding speed when it became available.
Yeah, and he did that perfectly. Like he had an awesome session.
Yeah. But because 30-year-old Italian race car, we did pick up on a problem towards the end of his stint, which kind of, plagued us the rest of the day.
Right, but it was something we could work around.
Right. So it was an issue with fueling of some sort. We're still not sure exactly what. We don't know if the fuel pump's getting weak. We don't know if the temperature of the gas. I think that's the winning.
Yep.
That's the most. We think the gas was getting too hot because of the way that the return is now routed through the engine bay.
Yep.
Or there could be some sediment because it's a stock tank. We're not sure exactly. But basically, as the stint went on, the car would start losing power and losing power and losing power.
Yep.
And by the end of it, it's nearly undrivable.
Yep.
I ended up having to, basically anything over 4,500 RPM, you might as well, just be in neutral. Like, it's just hesitate. So I ended up shifting around 4,000 RPM and just, like, barely getting boost, I was getting out-dragged by Preludes.
Right, when you had 2 cylinders and 2 turbos on top of them.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So my dad brought it back. We fueled it back up. Sent Craig out, and he immediately was just putting in fast laps.
Yeah, the track had a dry line at that time.
Well, and the sun came out.
Yep.
Like with
briefly,
maybe like 10 minutes left in my dad's stint, and it really just like baked off the last of the rain.
Yeah.
And so he got in and he was able to kind of jump in and immediately get the hammer down. And then the same thing started happening to him at the end of his stint.
Yep.
So both of them did close to 2 hours.
Yep.
I got in, was going really well.
Oh, we changed brake pads when you got in.
Yeah. Oh, Dave. So it's no secret that my biggest struggle with this car has always been braking.
Yep.
Always.
Yep.
Dave, first of all, was able to do a side of brake pads. Each wheel was about 90 seconds.
Yeah, about 90 seconds to 2 minutes for brake pads on each side. Yep.
Yeah. Which was amazing because we just did it in the pit lane and he knocked it out really fast. And I don't know what sort of ginger magic you put on those things, but the braking has never been as good.
Okay.
As it was today.
Those are brand new Hawk blue pads.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's what it was. The pedal feel was so much better.
Okay.
And it was just much more confidence inspiring because I just had more feedback through the pedal. So I spent one lap bedding them in as best I could.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of went for it and was able to really turn consistent laps, even though I was in a lot of traffic.
We could tell when you were building confidence in the braking.
Yeah.
Because in turn 1, where we can see where people start to brake from the pit lane, you would start braking later and later and later every single lap.
Yeah, I mean, by the end of my stint, I was braking. Part of it was by the end of the stint. So I'll get to that in a second. So so at the beginning of my stint, I was braking at like the 4 board.
Yep.
Into turn 1, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because you're doing 120, 125 there, or at least I was in the Maserati, and then turning in at like 75 to 80, somewhere in there. It's a fast corner, and turn 1's so scary because it's a fast entry, it's a fast turn in, and then if you don't hit the apex, the further out you get, the more off camber it gets.
Yeah.
So it's like exponentially worse. The worse it goes for you.
Yeah, if you miss it, then you're punished for missing it.
Yeah, by getting sucked into the wall down there.
Yeah.
Which people do. And then, so the big thing that happened to remind it was there was a full course yellow. A Miata blew the fuck up.
Really?
In the carousel.
No way, I didn't know that.
And it was just a huge slick of oil.
Oh, okay.
It was like Exxon Valdez down there. It was on the exit of the carousel. It was a mess, and it took them a while to get it cleaned up.
Yeah, you pulled, I think, 3 13-minute laps.
Yeah, I was behind the pace car. It was pretty terrible. But this is why we think that it was heat for the fuel system, because it was that was causing the hesitation in the Maserati. Right. So as soon as the yellow went, I had been kind of putting around.
Yep. Not as much air moving through the car.
Right. And a lot more heat soak in the engine.
Yep.
In the engine compartment. All of a sudden, I'm getting no acceleration.
Right.
Like it felt like fuel starving.
Okay.
And it was really, really frustrating.
Okay.
But it did kind of allow me to I started driving it like a momentum car.
Oh, yeah.
And so I started carrying a lot more speed through the corners, and
knowing that it was going to be harder to make it up.
Right.
Okay.
And going deeper in my braking zones, and I actually kind of gained a lot of confidence in the car because of that.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I was driving the shit out of that thing while I was going slow.
Okay.
It was just there was only so much I could do.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, what could you do?
Yeah.
Even when it was bogging down on you, you were still pulling. So, like, your fast lap today was a 3:04.
Yeah.
So even when it was bogging down in the areas that would impact your times the most, right? You were still pulling 3:12s and 3:15s.
Yeah.
So you were only losing 10 seconds over 4 miles.
Yeah. Well,
with a bogging down engine.
And for anyone who doesn't know, Road America is dominated by straight line speed.
It is
performance because there are 3 straights that are like over half a mile. I think there's 3 straights that are over half a mile, and there's a huge portion of the lap is full throttle.
Yep.
So it's a big deal there if you are down on power.
I could see in the times where you were struggling with it being down on power, and then you actually started improving, even though the situation was getting worse.
Yeah. So one thing because that was when I think that was probably when I realized that I could short shift and manage it a little bit that way.
Okay.
It still wasn't great, but it helped a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, it was kind of some experimentation to try to figure out how to grab back some lap time, because the thing is we didn't want to pit too early. Yes. Because we didn't want to have Craig have that problem at the end of the race.
Yeah.
because we were fighting for the lead.
We were
fighting for the lead in the class. We were on the same lap as all three of us in the class. Top three in the class were on the same lap, and we were at most points separated by like a minute and a half.
Yep.
After 7 hours.
Yeah. After 7 hours.
It
comes down to a minute and a half.
We were 30 seconds behind second place.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. The first place car dropped out. It was a Pontiac Firebird that blew an alternator, and they couldn't get it back on the road.
And they were ridiculously fast.
Yeah, they weren't in the right class. Yeah, because there was a Camaro that won the overall race that was basically the same configuration as that car. And, I mean, they won the overall race.
And they were in a different class, yeah.
Yeah, they were in a different class. So, yeah. So, so once the Firebird dropped out, we had a Fox body Mustang and a Toyota Supra. And
first generation Supra.
Yeah, and then a big older Pontiac Le Mans. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, a bigger older Pontiac Le Mans.
That was crazy fast on the straight and predictably pretty slow in the corners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so it actually came down to us being able to maintain our spot and actually have a good chance of winning our class. Came down to pit stops and fuel strategy.
Yeah, and we were on it with that stuff. I mean, we really were. And I think, you and Jake deserve a lot of the credit for how well we did today, especially.
Well, thank you.
Because our fuel stops were perfect.
They were underneath the minimum that you have to be there for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
In order to have a successful pit stop. And if you're out too early, they hold you.
Right.
Until you've met that 5 minute.
And
so no matter what, you're going to have a 5 minute pit stop. You come in just to say hello to the pit crew, you still have to wait 5 minutes.
Right. And that's supposed to be so people take their time when they're fueling and don't rush.
That said, you still do kind of need to rush fueling.
Yeah, in practice it doesn't really work all that well. Part of that is my dad's janky-ass fuel cans.
But yeah, he needs different fuel cans. But we rolled with it, and so we were about 4 minutes 30 seconds for fueling. So we did fuel in that pit stop before you drove, right? To set the car up for you.
Yeah, fuel, driver change.
We jacked up the car, which takes a little bit, especially because we can't jack both front wheels at the same time. There's not a jack point to do that. We had to jack each side.
Yeah.
Right? Ian, there was a lot of jacking going on.
I know. We were jacking all over the place.
Jacking left, jacking right.
Yeah, just jacking all over.
Jacking.
So much jacking.
And then also we picked up the car. So we had to jack up the car, all right? So we got fuel. We got driver change.
Yeah.
We got jacking up the car. We pulling the wheels, me doing the brakes on that side, putting a new fresh tire on for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we swapped front tires then as well. And then going to the other side, doing the same thing over there, jacking the car up, taking the wheel up, brakes, and then tire for you. And we were done in less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
For all of that.
Yeah. It was really good.
Then why does it take me 19 hours to change the brakes on my Saab?
I'm not sure, because you were super fast at it.
The key to those brakes is that they're actually the exact same setup as the rear brakes on my Saab, with 2 pins and a spring between them.
Yeah.
Instead of like the little guide pins or springs that you have to clamp in.
Yeah, that's what the Volkswagen has. Yeah. Pain in the ass.
And my Saab's fronts are like that.
Right.
But the downside to those with the pins is that you can't use very big brake pads.
Right.
But you can change them quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah. So you were set up and you executed with a well-tuned car, and I'm glad you could do that.
Yeah, it was fun. That car was a lot of fun today, because with good tires on
at the correct pressure.
It felt definitely more dialed, and the brakes helped a lot. Also, what helped was I didn't move the seat forward.
Okay.
And I had to reach a little bit more.
Okay.
Which so wasn't ideal, but I felt more comfortable in the car, and I also think that I was maybe closer to the like the yaw. The yaw center of gravity.
Okay.
Like where it rotates around.
Yeah.
And so I felt like
you had a better butt feel.
Yeah, I had a much better butt feel for the balance of the car through some of the corners. So when it rotated, it didn't feel so weird.
Okay.
I honestly, it's a weird small thing, but it honestly felt like
it
made a big difference.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah. So yeah, and then so I did my stint with all the fun of that, and then Craig got back in the car and just started churning out fast laps.
Yep.
He was on it. He was all in the consistently in the kind of 304, 303, 304, 305 range.
Right.
And then once in a while dropping in a 301,
Yeah.
And then just we were all glued to timing and scoring.
Yes, we were.
I've never seen Dave so excited for a race.
Ian, I was excited about racing.
Yeah.
I was. Racing happened.
I know.
And that's what it takes. It takes like multiple hours.
Yeah.
Me having a really hearty investment in it.
Yeah.
And then it coming down to a very close race.
What are you navigating to? I'm sorry.
What? Oh, I'm navigating to Des Moines.
Oh, you're navigating to Des Moines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were navigating. I thought you were trying to navigate. It was like 4 hours and 44 minutes.
Right.
Is not correct.
Clearly, you've done that wrong.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we weren't going the wrong direction.
No, and we should probably keep this section in the podcast.
Okay.
All right.
Let's keep it.
Okay.
There's a Dunkin' Donuts if you want coffee.
But is it going to be good coffee?
Well, Dunkin' Donuts I think is standardized.
Yeah,
right?
I think you're right. Yeah.
I mean, we need you can top up with gas.
We should get some donuts. After all this fried food, that's what we need.
Yeah. We've only have 32 beignets to eat.
I know. Yeah.
32 beignets we got.
I've dipped away at some of them.
I know.
They're tiny. They're not like beignets I've had that are like the size of a donut. These are like, maybe like, I don't know, like, what size is this, Ian? It's like a little pocket.
Maybe like 2 inches by 2 inches?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
If only there was something I could measure with.
Yeah, it's 3 of my penises.
Oh, Ian.
Uh-huh.
So today was an awesome day.
Yeah.
We finished 3rd in our class. We finished 20th overall.
20th overall.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
For today of racing, right? If you combine it with Saturday and Sunday, not so good. But today was a good day.
Yeah, it was very good. And, I think they have a solid direction forward with that car. There's definitely a list of things that need to be looked at.
Yep.
I think the frame rails is number one on that list.
Yep.
I would also say maybe different tires.
Yeah.
I'm not in love with those tires.
Yeah.
I don't know what else.
Okay.
So, again, I asked you the same thing after Lemons.
Yeah.
What is how did this affect your outlook on potentially driving?
I'm still kind of scared to drive ChumpCar.
Yeah.
Oh, we do need to say today there was only a little bit of car-to-car contact, but that was a little bit of rubbing. They promptly scolded the entire field for it.
The entire
which
paddock,
I loved. Yeah. So they did that. There were no collisions.
Yeah.
There were no collisions.
Yeah.
So this is a very safe racing league.
And Road America, really, we can't stress. I mean, it's just kind of a scary track.
It is. It is. Yeah, it's an intimidating track. It's a fast track.
Yeah. I mean, I think some of those guys were nudging 140 on the straight.
I wouldn't be surprised, yeah.
And then there were cars that were nudging 90 on the straight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you're looking at least a 50-mile-an-hour differential. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it it makes me want to drive Lemons and continue to support you and work ChumpCar for the time being. Yeah.
There are also slower tracks than that.
Yeah, and so we're talking about Jake. We're talking to Jake, and we might see if we can work something out there. But I'm excited for the future of us in amateur racing because it's going to just be us throwing money away and hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have more updates as we travel on since we're still in Wisconsin. But
yeah, definitely because we're planning on driving through the night now.
Yeah.
And the only thing that might keep us awake is recording.
Yeah.
So you might hear some weird stuff.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Good job, everybody.
Good job, Ian.
Let's go home.
I love you.
I know.
Ian?
Yes, sir.
So burgers and beignets.
Burgers and beignets.
And on top of that, they had a veggie burger in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Which was fucking insane.
Yeah.
And very welcome, because that was really the only vegetable I got, besides fries.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be just a strong element of foreshadowing from here on out.
Oh, yeah.
In this episode. And I'm just going to say that right now, your dainty vegetarian colon digestive system was not prepared.
It was not
for this trip.
It said, I'm not ready for this. I'm not. I've been living in Colorado for 16 years.
Yep.
And you want to do what?
Yep.
You want to go where? Dave, I'm your butt. Listen to me when I speak. Because guess what? I actually call all the shots. Here's the thing.
You really do.
You want to sit down for a job interview?
Yeah.
Your butt has to be in line.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. You know, I have a lot of things I need to talk to you about.
Yeah, you do.
Dave's butt.
Yeah, you do.
Which will become apparent later in the show.
Yeah.
So stick around for that. That's the worst tease ever.
It is because the destination is my butt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, car show.
Yes.
We were driving a race car. That's why we were in Wisconsin. That's why we were in the sausage capital of the world.
Yes.
So let's talk first about Saturday. So I know in that segment we talked about Sunday first because we were just so pumped about it, but we should talk about Saturday a little bit.
Yes.
So Saturday was an interesting day, I would say.
It was one of those days where it could have been demoralizing if we didn't, we could have given up if we wanted to, but we didn't. We rallied.
We did.
Right?
Yeah.
We rolled with some changes.
Yeah. So just to recap really quick. So the first thing that happened with the car, was we had been fighting electrical issues, and you heard us talking about it in the first show and in that last segment. We had been fighting electrical issues all day Friday.
Yep. During test and tune.
During the test and tune. And then Saturday, during Craig's first stint, or his only stint that day, he was the first driver, we were fighting, we were kind of managing it and kind of monitoring it.
Right.
I got in the car. It broke on my outlap.
Yeah.
Which was crazy.
And I just want to say real quick, we weren't exactly sure if it was the alternator or the battery during that time.
Right.
But so we had tried swapping the battery because your dad and Craig went with a smaller lithium ion setup for the battery.
Right.
In the name of saving weight. But I mean, yeah, it's a battery.
Yeah.
So we were trying different batteries, but it turned out that the alternator itself needed a rebuild. It was full of oil. Mm-hmm. It was dirty. But also, we did have an issue with the alternator just snapping straight off its bracket.
Well,
right?
the bracket snapped off the block, which I was not aware was an option.
Yep. It is something that can happen. Yeah. When you have a piece of hardware like that and serpentine belt tension,
mm-hmm.
I mean, that can... The tension of a belt can torque metal. I mean, that's just aluminum. Aluminum is so soft.
That's true.
The oil pan and the block on that car is just aluminum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is great for weight, but man, I mean, aluminum is soft. Yeah.
Well, and again, it must have happened when I nailed it going out of the pits.
It could have,
because the voltage just started dropping.
As
soon as I left the pits.
That sudden change to the RPM of the alternator belt could have just pulled that bolt out of the bracket,
right,
and just caused it to tilt over.
Yeah. So if you're ever at Road America and you somehow get into the grass, on pit out a little bit, and you
with a metal detector,
and you run over a piece of aluminum and an alternator belt from
that's probably like 4.5 inches long or so, 5 inches.
That bracket was big.
Yeah.
And a radiator belt, or not a radiator belt, Jesus Christ, an alternator belt from 1987 Maserati Biturbo. That was me. Sorry about that.
Yep. Maybe put those in an envelope.
Yeah.
Send them back to us.
Yep.
Team ClearCoat, P.O. Box. I don't know. Sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the first big issue on Saturday.
Yeah.
Sunday, and then the second big issue on Saturday was the clutch exploding.
And it's hard to. I think the thing that we didn't really talk about because we were so excited about talking about Sunday in the car, the emotional roller coaster.
Yes.
So I was in the car. I brought it into the garage. Dwayne was like, "Okay, stay in the car.
Yep.
We're gonna try to fix this.
Yep.
And then we're gonna push you back out. We're gonna send you right back out." I was like, "Great."
Right.
So I'm in the car. I'm sitting in the car for probably 10, 15 minutes before you guys really figured out, oh wait, that whole thing sheared off.
Okay.
Because I don't think it was immediately apparent because it sheared off pretty cleanly.
It did, yeah.
And it took a second. You kind of had to take a second look at it to make sure that...
Yeah, I mean, you just wouldn't think that a chunk would be missing.
Right.
Yeah, right? Like, you can see when something is screwed in wrong or, like, when a part is...
Yeah, a bolt snaps or something like that.
Yeah, but, like, when a little bridge of metal that used to be there is no longer there,
right.
It takes a while for your eye to catch that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
So then Dwayne comes over to me and is like, "Get out of the car. We're done."
Okay.
And that was what he told me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then he was like, that it sheared off the block or whatever.
Okay.
And so I was really down when I heard that. So I like kind of slowly got out of the car and got undressed and was really bummed. And then we kind of got our heads down and kind of got into it.
Yeah.
And it took us, an hour or so?
I think close to 2 hours.
Close to 2 hours. And we kind of got it. I was running around the paddock looking for hardware.
Yep. Asking other teams for bolts and stuff like that.
You and Jake were kind of engineering a solution.
Yep.
Dwayne was doing carpentry.
He had to make a little wooden wedge to pick up to push the alternator back. And Jake and I were trying to figure out how to line it up because there's like a cooling hose right behind it or an oil return. And so the alternator, if it was truly in a good place, it would be kind of almost all the way back against this oil return line. But there wasn't really anything to keep it from rubbing up against it, which would have just burned through the line, and then oil would have been everywhere.
Yeah.
And, that's the one thing we didn't, have an issue with during...
Well, after we did. We just sopped it up with zip-tied paper towels.
Yes. That's true. No,
because it was
right.
seeping out of the bottom of the. That's how the oil got into the alternator in the first place.
No, it wasn't.
Wasn't?
It's coming down from the cam seals.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So it was coming down from above.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
We thought we had an oil leak at the dipstick drain or dipstick where it seats into the oil pan.
Right.
But it wasn't.
Oh, it was just pooling in there?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so we Jake and I were under there trying to figure out exactly how this alternator would line up, on these different pulleys coming off of the engine. And so, we rallied, Yeah.
And then I think, getting that, because it really was a true team effort to get that car patched up and back out in 2 hours.
Yeah.
From what, I would have, if that had been me, I would have looked at that and be like, well, this car is junk now.
Right. And we did not work at what I would call a breakneck pace. we worked at a very methodical, slow pace. So we knew that, the day we weren't going to do well for the day, that it was going to take some time, but we wanted to try to get it back out the same day.
Yep.
So we didn't kill ourselves I think this is good enough, get it back out there, get it back there.
Right.
We took the time to fix it to the point where it held the rest of the weekend.
It did. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so we got it back out. I got back in the car. I did a full stint.
With a wooden block holding the alternator.
With a wooden block holding
with
the
enough
alternator.
space to give the belt tension.
Yep, and we figured out what combination of things to have on in the car to have the voltage steady and everything, and it was managed and it was fine.
Okay.
For my whole stint.
Yeah.
I bring the car in, and so that was once we realized that everything was steady and I could concentrate on driving, and I think I had a decent-ish stint in the car, and it felt great. To just drive for a while.
Right. Yeah.
So I bring the car back in.
Yeah, you were out for an hour and 45, 2 hours, something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
You had a good, solid run.
Yeah, and it was consistent. It was everything I wanted it to be. So I brought it back in. Everything was fine. We got my dad in the car. We had a good pit stop.
Yep, we had a great pit stop. Yep, under 5 minutes for that.
Yep. He goes out, and then
2 laps.
2 laps, and all of a sudden he radios back that it's stuck in fourth.
Yeah, stuck in fourth gear.
And we start ripping apart shifter linkages and stuff.
Well, he comes back, and Jake and I. Jake and I pushed you. Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he comes back and.
Yeah, you pushed me in the garage because remember the alternator, the battery didn't have enough charge to actually start the car.
Yeah. So your dad comes in and he has it in neutral by then, but the clutch is just going to the floor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's it turns out that he figures out it's the clutch. And
throwout bearing is what we thought it was first.
Well, after we got up in the air, we thought it was the throwout bearing because Craig could see the fingers were all jacked up on the clutch, and he could see that up through the gap. And so it looked like the throwout bearing had grenaded and was holding some fingers in and letting others go out. And then it turned out that wasn't what it was.
No,
as you heard in the previous segment.
Yeah.
But
all this on Saturday.
Yeah. And I think the thing that I wanted to talk about on Saturday really was that how fun that night actually ended up being.
That night was actually awesome.
As frustrating as it was to work on that thing.
Yeah, and the awesome guys with the BMW next to us,
Yep, and then the Stratus guys on the other side.
Yes.
Everybody was so
Crash
cool.
Management Racing, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, Jake is right. There are friendly people in the racing community. Mm-hmm. There's good people. It's really cool.
Yeah, we had some great conversation. We actually had some really good pizza. I don't remember the name of that pizza place, but we had pizza from that place twice.
Yeah. That didn't have anything to do with me nearly shitting myself, just consuming giant discs of grease over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, we had some pizza, we had some beers, and we got it working, and getting that transmission back in.
Yep.
You talked a little bit about it on Jake's podcast. So
yes. Yeah. The moment of serendipity.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one moment, that shining light of a moment was 4 of us were underneath the car.
It was all 5 of us.
Yeah. Craig,
on it.
Jake, me, you, and Dwayne. Yep. All 5 of us underneath the car, holding the transmission up, trying to slide it back into place.
Yep.
Right? And we have to get the drive shaft out of the way and the exhaust out of the way. Mm-hmm. And there was this weird transcendent moment where none of us spoke, but we all
made adjustments independently.
Yeah, exactly, independently. And they all happened to be the exact adjustments at the same time that it took to slide it right into place.
Yeah, and it just went clunk.
Yeah, it was amazing because it was before that we were like, okay, well, you try coming down and you go up and all of this kind of, and it's okay. And then we were just quiet for a second and it was just thunk. It was almost like it sucked back onto the engine. Like, we need to be one again.
Yeah.
Funk, you know?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. And we were just merely witnesses to the two of them mating.
Yeah. And to drive home, how crazy that was. How nothing is easy on that car.
No.
Nothing. The guys in the bay next to us with the BMW.
Yes.
Had to.
With a blown engine.
Had to pull their engine, get all of the accessories off of it.
Yep.
They had, while they were doing that, they had some other people driving to Milwaukee and back, which is about an hour and a half away.
Okay.
Get a new engine off of Craigslist, bring it back, bolt everything on, and get it back in the car. We had to change a clutch.
Yeah.
All we had to do was change a clutch. We beat them by about 20 minutes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they swapped an entire engine and all accessories.
Yep, that's how much of a pain in the ass it is to change a clutch on that fucking car.
Right,
the goddamn starter.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah, right.
Oh man, that starter.
But you know what? I mean, so like Thursday night into Friday, we had 3 hours of sleep, right?
Yeah.
Friday into Saturday, we had what, 4 or 5?
Yeah, I think 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's say 5, right? Mm-hmm. Saturday into Sunday, because we were working until 11 on Saturday night on the clutch, right? We finally got, I think, showered and in bed by midnight or 12:30.
Yeah.
Right? And then we were up at about, 6 the next morning?
Yeah, I think it was about 5 hours of sleep that we got that night.
Yeah. So heading into Sunday, when we wanted to drive home, that same night, we are dealing with 3 hours, 5 hours, 5 hours.
Yep. And then I got out of the race car, an hour before the end of the race, hour and a half before the end of the race.
Yeah.
And then we drove home. We drove 16 hours.
Yeah. Right?
So, and I had already driven 2 hours.
Yes. Yeah. So when we talk about fatigue later, that's what we're dealing with. Yeah. But anyway, so that emotional roller coaster of getting the car rolling again on Saturday.
And then just
at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, the only thing we did was pull it out of the driveway and back into pull it out of the garage and back into the garage.
Right.
That was all we could do.
It was at night, and we didn't want loud race car exhaust to wake people up in
there was
trailers and
someone in a camper right across.
The
drive.
So we didn't want to motor it around. We didn't really hear any other cars running around at that point either.
You were supposed to stop at 10.
Oh, okay. See, I had asked somebody if there was a curfew on noise, but nobody knew.
I think it was 10 o'clock.
Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense.
And then Sunday was just such a once that Trans Am dropped out,
right?
We were just like, oh shit, we could almost win our class.
Yeah, we actually had a chance to win our class. Yeah.
And that was what was so crazy. So Sunday, and I think that was one of the things we wanted to talk about here, right? The variety of cars that we were competing with.
Yes. Yeah. The variety of cars, and the thing that was so amazing about it was how close that variety of cars was in the race. So Sunday, after the Firebird dropped out, Trans Am, whatever, it was a third gen Toyota Supra, second or third gen Toyota Supra.
I thought it was like I don't know.
Yeah.
Late 80s version. Early 90s.
I think, early 90s Supra. The Fox Body Mustang.
Yep.
Us, a 1987 Maserati.
Yep.
And then behind us was an old Pontiac Le Mans or Grand Prix.
I think it was a Le Mans.
Yeah. Big Malaise era car.
But that thing was fast in the straight.
Well, yeah, because guess what? You take all the awful carbs off of, or not carbs, catalytic converters off of those Malaise era cars. They're giant V8s.
Yeah.
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 And they had discs all around, so they had upgraded the brakes and
it was a pretty fast car. It wasn't super reliable though, so we were a few laps ahead of it.
Yep. And that continued to grow Sunday.
Yeah.
But the three of us, the Supra, the Fox Body Mustang, and the Maserati, were all on the same lap for our class. For leading our class.
7 hours. And we finished, all three of us, within a minute and a half of each other, which is just crazy to me.
Right?
After 7 hours, the three of us that were such different cars would be that close. And, we had been fighting. We got hurt because we had to change front brake pads.
Yep.
And we were fighting that fuel issue the whole time, which I think the more we think about, the further we get from it, I think it's the temperature thing.
Okay.
I think the fuel was getting too hot because during that full course yellow that lasted forever, it was being like it would only start at like a quarter of a tank, which is what my dad saw.
Right.
But when it happened for me, it was still at like a half a tank.
Okay.
But we think it's maybe just because I was going so slowly.
Right.
It was just more heat soak.
Yep. I bet that's right.
It's the only thing we could think of.
Yeah, no, it's a good theory. Yeah.
So yeah, we were down several pounds of boost and it was just running like shit. And so if we hadn't had to manage that, if we hadn't had to change pads,
right?
If they had a central jacking point for the front of the car, any one of those three things,
we could have probably taken first in our class.
We probably would have gotten first in our class.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, which is nuts.
So let's talk a little bit more about Sunday. Because, Saturday was that emotional roller coaster of it's working, it's not working, we're fixing it, it's working again, it's not working, we're fixing it, and then we get into Sunday. So Sunday, we get to, it had rained overnight, we got to the track was wet, but there was no new precipitation falling. Right. It was just misty. Right?
Right. But it was greasy.
Yes.
Because it wasn't like a hard rain.
Right. That washed oil and stuff off of the track.
Yeah.
Or dust. It just like a gentle moisture settled on the track and didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And so your dad, since he only got 2 laps the day before, he took the first stint.
Yeah.
And he did such an amazing job because what he needed to do was pilot the car through probably the most dangerous period of the day. Right. When everybody was going to be sideways except for the all-wheel drive Eagle Talon that was just eating everybody's lunch.
Oh my God.
They were like, "Hey you, what are you having? A tuna melt? Fucking give it to me."
Yeah.
Right?
That was it.
Oh, a hoagie? Mine.
Yeah.
Right? That all-wheel drive Eclipse was destroying the field when the track was wet.
Yeah, at one point I think they were close to 20 seconds a lap faster than the next fastest car.
Yes. Yeah, they had started lapping the field by lap 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was insane.
But that's all-wheel drive for you.
Yeah.
Right?
And apparently really good tires. They were just it
was a car in its element. But your dad had to drive during this really, really sketchy time.
Yeah.
I keep saying when the car is drying out, when the track is drying out. I'm so used to Dusty Rusty leaking whenever it rained.
Yeah.
When the road's wet, my car's wet too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was, it was really imperative, and his laps were slower, but because it was wet and he was guarding his time and he was taking care, and as the conditions permitted, he started making noticeable improvements, and it was really easy to see.
Yeah.
You could tell what the track condition was by his times easily.
Yeah, and I did not envy him whatsoever because that car is lively in the best of conditions.
Right.
Especially under braking. I can't imagine, especially down in like Canada Corner, which is like the lowest part of the track.
Yeah.
And it's all shaded back there as well.
Yep.
That must have been super sketchy back there. So yeah, he did. And I think that was the theme of the day because I don't think there was no like, and this is the thing I think about endurance racing that might be kind of appealing is that there was no like one heroic effort. Like there was
No, you're right. It was a solid effort by every member of the team.
Everybody did exactly what they needed to do.
Yep.
Exactly.
Right. Yep. From pit crew to Dwayne to the drivers and the drivers helping pit everything.
And it was again like you were talking about on Saturday. The thing we got really good at on Sunday, especially during our pit stops, was methodical is better than hurried.
Yes, you're exactly right. Yep. And slow and smooth is fast.
And the thing that I didn't realize for like several days, after we got home,
right,
it occurred to me that sort of pace and attitude and just sort of like professional way of looking at it,
very clinical.
Yeah, that clinical way of looking at it freed us up to do things that I don't think my dad and Craig had been able to do necessarily before. And I know we didn't get it done last year, certainly. It just
like what?
Like getting the tire pressures dialed.
Oh yeah, you're right.
You know,
right.
And that because we had the space to think about that sort of stuff,
right, and pay attention to every single tire as it came off the car.
Right. Because we were all being able to there was more consistency, and part of that was this. I think I was providing better feedback too.
You're getting better at translating. Yeah, what you're feeling.
Right, and then also the car was more consistently good. So my dad and Craig could have a good baseline.
Yes.
to provide feedback for. So it just allowed us space to accomplish all of the other things that you need to do to get faster.
Right. And that's what makes a team competitive.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
It's not just a fast car.
Right. Right.
You know?
I mean, so if I would much rather it be like that than if, Craig had turned out a 2-minute 45.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Right.
The fact that his best time was a 2:58. Which
yeah.
was not even
that's
close to the fastest lap of the race. I mean, there was a lot of teams that were faster than that. I mean, that's still a quick lap around.
Oh, it's a fast lap, yeah.
But it was we just did what we needed to do.
We did, yeah. And so it was really good that we talked about the driver order at the beginning of the day and the reasoning behind the driver order. Mm-hmm. So it was your dad first, obviously, because of his day before. He needed seat time. And he has experience, so getting through the rain, getting through all of that stuff. Barry Manilow song, made it through the rain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess what I was raised on as a child?
I know.
Is Barry Manilow.
The other thing that us being consistent and solid on everything else allowed us to play with was strategy.
It was.
Because
it really was.
We realized that both the Supra.
Yep.
At the time, the Trans Am was still in. So the Trans Am, the Supra, and the Fox body all came in before an hour 30.
Yep.
Before the hour 30 mark. So for anyone who doesn't know, like the pit window for an endurance race of this sort of format is pretty big. So you'll have teams pitting anywhere from an hour to 2 hours.
Depending on when they run out of fuel, when drivers fatigue, things like that. I mean,
or if they have a ton of drivers and they all want to get seat time in, it could be anything.
Yep. Yeah, but typically fuel.
Yeah, typically it's coordinated with fuel, and then if you can get it to the maximum, then you have to pit at 2 hours.
Yep,
there's no like double stinting in this amateur racing.
Optimally, you want to run for the full 2 hour, right? Because that gives you the least amount of pit stops in a day, right. But since it being 7 hours, right, that's kind of odd, right? Because you could take less than 2 hour stints and still have the same quantity of pit stops as a team that took 2 hour pit stops.
Right. Yeah. It's a 4-stop minimum thing.
Exactly. And this is where like that strategy starts to come in. But we noticed that those other teams were pitting earlier than we were.
And I think the first people started pitting in like an hour 15, hour 20.
Which we thought was great because maybe we could get up an entire pit stop on these folks.
Right. Which is a lap and a half around there. At least it's a lap and a half because you get penalized basically because you get a slow pit lane speed limit all the way up that front straight.
Right.
It's a pretty big penalty.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not just the 5 minutes for a pit stop, but the time that it takes to get on and off. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And then warm your tires back up or whatever it is, it's a significant penalty.
Right.
So we thought maybe we could do that. So we decided that the best strategy was to stretch our pit window as long as possible. And it ended up being that was the right strategy for us.
Right.
But we kind of got screwed by that yellow.
We did.
Because I think there's a chance that one of the other two teams might have had to have an extra pit stop had that yellow not happened.
Yep.
Because obviously that's a lot of fuel saving if you're putting around at 40 miles an hour.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah, we thought the Fox body for sure was going to need to come in because it's a Fox body Mustang.
Yeah. I think maybe they were just trying to get drivers in.
Okay.
Though after talking to him after the race, but
really? Okay.
It was still exciting, and it was nice to have that leeway, that freedom to play with strategy.
Yeah.
Because we were all just like on it.
Right. Yeah. So let's get back to drivers doing their job real quick. Okay. Right. So your dad chopping through the rain. Right.
Yeah.
Craig coming in as the second driver. Right. Because if we're looking at maximum 2-hour stints, right.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, it was about an hour and a half, an hour 40, ish, right? Your dad, Craig, then you, and then a person to bring it home for that last hour.
Right.
That was Craig.
Right. Because he was the fastest driver.
He was the fastest driver. He was very consistent in traffic.
Yep.
Yeah. So he was, if we just had to pick one out of the inventory of folks at our disposal to bring the car home safely, right, and still have really good lap times, I think he's he's the person, you know. And so we wanted instead of you going after your dad, right, which would have put Craig third, right, then you going again, right. We were able to stack experience, right, with your dad, Craig, you turning out a solid session, right? And then Craig again. So Craig's role was that experience. Your role was consistency, and you did that well.
Yeah, thank you. I was really, really happy with my stint on Sunday, even though it was frustrating because the car ran like shit for the entire time after that.
It was solid and consistent though, and that was your job because we were in that pack of 3 cars. The Trans Am was gone by then. Right. And it was like, we just need to keep turning laps.
Yeah.
And you did.
Yeah. And I felt I was able to push the car a little bit more on Sunday. I felt really great.
You had a hot set of brake pads from your boy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Speaking of doing everything we needed to do, you executed that brake pad change, and we still got out, I think,
in under 10 minutes.
It was way less than that.
No, I think it was
because I heard the
minutes.
beeper going off and you were already doing the right side.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and you were. That was 7.5 minute pit stop.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
which for a brake pad change as well that's pretty badass.
Yeah, thank you.
Especially since, so and in ChumpCar, so you're not allowed to do. You can do driver change. While you're fueling, but that's it. So you can't do any other work on the car while fuel is happening.
Yep. And fuel on that car took about 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
Yeah. It was kind of a slow process.
And that was my job, right? Was fuel. And Jake's job was to hold the fire extinguisher until I was finished with fuel.
Yeah.
Right. And so then I swung around and did the driver's side brake pads first. They are honestly, it's a really good setup. They're smaller pads, which is why we ate through them. With that kind of setup, you can't use big brake pads, but it's what a lot of cars use as a rear brake pad setup.
Right.
With 2 pins and a spring, and you can pull the brake pads right out without even needing to rotate the caliper up or rotate the pads off of the caliper.
Yeah.
And it's a good setup for racing. We're not going to have that with my Saab.
Yeah. It was like 90 seconds aside you were doing them.
Well, thank you.
It was fast.
Yeah. Just pop,
Yeah.
Yeah. We had 2 pry bars. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We had 2 pry bars, so I spread the brake pads back to push the calipers back in, so you had space to get the pads out. I had a pin tap and a little hammer. Top pin, bottom pin, catch the spring when it's coming out, right? Set it on the ground, right? You got your 2 pins and your spring. You take the 2 pads out with pliers because they're really effing hot.
Yeah.
Turns out. And then you slide new pads in, you slide the top pin in, you tuck the spring back up underneath the top pin, and you hold it down as you slide the second pin in place. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you hammer the pins in all the way. And that was one of those times where it was like, take 2 extra seconds, Dave.
Right.
Look at the brake pads. Make sure you're not missing anything.
Yeah.
Because you're sending your buddy Ian out there to go flying down a straight at 120 miles an hour, and that pedal better fucking work when he hits it. And if it doesn't, that's on you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's also really interesting doing an outlap on a live racetrack, betting brake pads.
Yes. Yeah. For anybody who doesn't know, the way you bed brake pads is you accelerate to a speed and then you just fucking slam on the brakes.
Yeah.
And then you do that again. You accelerate, slam on the brakes, it like solid, consistent, hard braking, then accelerate, solid. And so you're seeding that pad material into the rotor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
go until you can smell them.
Yep,
and then you're good.
Exactly. I mean, that's really it. Yeah.
I mean, and so a couple of corner workers must have thought I was a fucking idiot because I was doing that the whole way down to turn 5. But there was nothing else I could do. I mean,
it's an important part of the process. Yeah. If you don't, you can glaze the pads.
Yeah.
And then you might as well just get a new set of pads.
Yeah. But they were awesome.
It is amazing what just a different set of pads can do for the pedal feel, for the braking power, just a set of pads.
Yeah.
That's it. Same rotors.
Yeah.
Same calipers, same everything else, same fluid.
Yeah.
Just pads.
It was such a huge difference. The pedal felt so much better. And that was a big thing, is that the pads before the pedal feel wasn't fantastic. So it was hard to feel when the rears would start to lock.
Okay.
You didn't get that through the pedal. And then I was just able to just go super deep into the pedal right away. And there wasn't as much sneeze room at the top either. Like, it was a much firmer pedal.
Okay.
And you could feel it back through the pedal when the tires would start to lock.
Nice.
It was fantastic. I loved it.
Awesome. Those were Hawk Blues that we put on. Yeah. So Hawk Blues.
Apparently, that's my next set of pads.
Well, I wouldn't use them on the street, but yeah.
You've seen the way I drive.
I have, but I mean those.
No, I bet they need a little bit of heat to work.
Probably. Yeah, and that kind of stuff gets pretty noisy.
Yeah,
lots of squeaking. But anyway, yeah. So that was everybody doing their job, and it was really good. It was
and that's really the story. Like, it's hard to make it sound exciting, but it was
right. It's a Ron Howard exciting. Everybody,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. This is a story of people just doing their job and doing it well.
Yeah,
there you go.
Exactly.
Yep. The end. Right.
And it was such a great feeling. And my dad and Craig were over the moon because that was the first full 7-hour day.
Yeah.
Full race day that the car basically was on track every moment it could have been.
Right. Yeah.
And we still had an alternator that was tie strapped to a piece of plywood.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a piece of 2x4.
Yeah. Right. It's like when I emission tested Dusty Rusty, and like, yes, I've gotten through. Like, I've gotten a 20-year-old Saab through emissions.
Right.
Fuck you. Right. But and like that thrill of like, oh my God, this Maserati, like, we've gotten it through 7 hours of hard racing.
Yeah.
And came in third in our class.
Yeah. Yeah. And even though like we came so close to winning our class or taking second, like, third place felt like,
oh, that's a victory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And we were so on such a high.
Yeah.
And like adrenaline was going for like, we were still, I think I still had a lot of adrenaline going after I got in the van, when we got into the van.
That's what got me through that first 5-hour driving stint.
Yeah. And then we decided to drive straight through.
Yes.
To Denver.
Yes. Oh, fucking horrible decision.
It was not smart.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into that a little bit later.
But yeah, so I mean, the theme of this next segment is basically the reality setting in.
Yes. There you go. Yes, definitely the reality of us in a van, all that time in front of us. That's what happened.
But more than anything, it's also the story of some serious chickens coming home to roost. Some serious chicken sausage, someone might say, coming home to roost.
This is the low point. This is the absolute low point.
Of the podcast, I think, maybe.
Of the whole podcast since we've started.
I think so.
This is lower than me screwing up Mr. Regular's interview.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, because I didn't need to take my pants off at any point during that.
Nope.
Need to, but did.
Yeah.
Didn't need to, but did.
Yeah.
But...
All right. Let's just...
Can we just stop the podcast? Let's do plugs.
No, we're not. No.
Nobody needs to hear this. I am Nuck Nuck Goose on Instagram and Twitter.
So what you're going to hear next, folks,
Oh.
again, the low point of the podcast, the low point of Team Clearcoat as it exists.
God.
Let me set the scene for you. What time is it? It's like
3 a.m.
3 a.m.
Ian's taking a shift to driving.
Someplace in Nebraska.
Fuck Nebraska. Fuck that whole state.
And let's just go right into it.
Thank you, Ian.
Dave.
I'm so sorry.
What was that?
I am so sorry. Oh, God.
Do you want to explain yourself?
Not really, no.
Let's let everyone know. So it is, what,
3?
It's 3 a.m. There's no getting around that.
It's 3 a.m.
We still have 6 hours of driving to go.
Yep.
We're in Nebraska.
We're on 80. You may remember it from times such as these. Ah! Ah!
Or there was that other time when we...
Ah!
Yeah, I-80.
Yeah.
We can now add to the list of things that we've done together as friends. We've completed races together.
Yep.
We've driven cross country together.
We have.
We've started a podcast together.
We have.
And we
play video games.
We've played video games together.
Uh-huh.
We sat around while you pooped in a field together in very close proximity.
And I'm not proud of it.
And it really wasn't even a field so much as a parking lot.
And one tree.
Yeah.
All I can say
you found
is
the one tree in Nebraska, so that was fun.
all I can say is I'm really glad you got those extra napkins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
they're all gone.
It was like a bridesmaid situation where it was like, this is happening. This is happening. And we pulled into a gas station where I was like, okay. So it was at the point where it was doing that. I was going through the waves and like I was starting to get to the flop sweat portion. Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, is that a police officer?
Yeah, sure.
Exactly. Don't know. They have a bunch of safety tape on the back of their car.
Maybe they're just safety conscious.
Maybe they are. Maybe they're safety conscious to pull us over and be like, we saw you shitting in a field, young man. But anyway, I was getting the waves of panic, and we saw the gas station. Yeah, I don't know what that is. We saw the gas station, illuminated, bright, like a beacon of hope for my butt. And turns out the gas pumps are open, but the other kind of pumps that I needed, they were not open. The whole place was closed. And we had to make a critical decision. Yeah. And that decision was to find one tree and where hopefully only a minimum amount of sleeping truckers could see me.
Yeah, and so I just parked within, I would say, taunting distance of you.
Yeah, you rolled down the window and provided a nice soundtrack, which is something I enjoy while defecating.
Yeah.
And then business ensued.
Yeah.
I'm not proud of it, but it's better than the alternative.
It happened.
It happened.
That was the thing that happened.
Oh.
Yeah, look, there's a rest stop.
There's a rest.
I think it's only trucks, though. It's trucks.
Oh, no, it's cars.
No, there's no cars.
I couldn't have made it to that.
Really?
I don't think I could have made it to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's go. I'm glad we stopped then.
I woke up after my 1 minute nap and was like, I need to go. And I think the beignet and veggie burger just shot through me.
I feel like right now you're shutting back down into nap mode.
No, not yet. Not yet. Nap mode might be coming.
The sentences are starting to get pretty choppy.
I think it's more me just coming to grips with what just happened.
Okay.
Closure.
All right.
Shame.
So we've also
Shame.
determined that Dave is a giant toddler.
I am a toddler. I am a giant child.
Before this incident, we'll just call
the incident
happened.
Now there's bathrooms everywhere in Nebraska. Get fucked, okay? Fuck your whole state. God damn it.
Oh my God.
The one we roll up on and where we try to shit in a toilet like an adult, guess what? You're closed. Then we're going to show you bathrooms for miles after. They're just going to be lined up, porcelain beacons decorating the road with salty gas station attendants, music, air conditioning that is way too cold because you're probably on meth. And then I'd be able to buy my shame gum.
Shame. Yeah, so shame gum is what we have determined is like late night gas station attendants. They sell a lot of shame gum. People who come running in for the bathroom and then at the afterwards they're like, oh, I guess I gotta buy something. So they buy their shame gum.
Yeah, I'd like 79 cents of dignity. That's it. It's just like, I guess I'll just get one tiny bottle of water.
Right, exactly.
Do you have anything thimble-sized? Because apparently anything larger is going to cause me to just do this whole thing again.
Well, okay,
20 miles down the road.
So this brings us back to the Dave is a giant toddler theory.
It's not a theory.
Yeah.
I've embraced it.
First of all, you require a shocking number of bathroom stops.
I do.
For a grown man.
I do.
A shocking number.
I hydrate a lot.
Okay. The second thing.
Okay.
Is before you fell asleep for your 2-minute nap, which is also very toddler-like.
I know.
We had a whole conversation about how I'm feeling good. And you were doing air punches. And I recognized the signs of overtiredness from my 2-year-old. It is almost exactly the same.
I was feeling good. I was honestly feeling good.
And then you fell asleep nearly mid-sentence.
And then I said, I think I'm going to take a nap now. And then fell asleep.
Yeah.
Fell asleep.
And then woke up less than 10 minutes later.
With the urgency of 1,000 suns.
Sleep through the only major city for 600 miles in any direction.
Hang on, I have to do something. Fuck you, Nebraska! I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. Well, why don't we stop recording? Why don't you just lean your little chair back?
Okay.
And maybe take a little nap. We'll get you some juice, buddy.
Okay. The next stop, we can give me juice?
Yeah, the next stop might be home.
I don't think I can hold it that long.
We don't have enough range to make it that long.
Okay.
You're lucky.
Neither does my bladder.
We know.
Okay.
All right, nighty-night, little Dave.
Sorry.
Say it, go to sleep.
I'm sorry.
Go to sleep.
Sorry.
Go to sleep.
Dave, can I just say,
God damn it,
that I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm just gonna say that you, sir, are the worst lot lizard ever. Worst one ever.
Well, or maybe if that's your thing, then I'm the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
If seeing a 6'4" frightened ginger man
the fear
drop trow and poop behind a tree by a closed gas station was your thing, like if that was your thing,
I like that you included
the best.
I like that
the best lot lizard. Guys, the best. The best.
I like that you included frightened, like there was going to be a trucker who was masturbating furiously and then watching you poop and then shouted at you, "You need to have more fear in your eyes. I can't finish unless you have fear in your eyes."
There's like a red tube comment on like the surveillance footage of me. And he's like, "Nah, it doesn't look frightened enough." Yeah, 3 out of 5 stars. 3 out of 5 tissues or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably surveillance footage of me pooping in a field while you asked me if
Taunted you.
Asked me if I wanted to hear talking heads.
Yeah.
Through the passenger window.
Yeah, I was just I had the door works when you're in park. the electric sliding door. So
Why did you need to open the door if I'm behind a tree pooping?
So you could hear the music, buddy. And also so you could hear my taunts because it was very funny. And I at one point yelled at you, "All those sausages were a bad idea, weren't they, Dave?"
And I'm just behind the tree going, "This is happening! This is happening!" And it was really cold. It was really cold. This is happening! Just trying to make sure I didn't get any on my pants. Because there wasn't anything to lean against. Nothing to lean against.
Oh, you were just doing the full open field squat, huh?
What else would I have done?
You couldn't put arms down behind you?
I'm not too versed on field shitting techniques.
Oh, there's a lot.
You were in the military. You probably know how to do it anywhere.
You know, the mechanics of pooping are roughly similar no matter where you are. I don't know if you know that or not.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes, I did
not put my arms back behind me.
See, that's what you need. You got to have some support.
So you do like a crab stance almost?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's the move.
That's the kind of stuff you should have shouted at me from the goddamn
That's not nearly as much fun though as because you know what was going through my mind?
Worst lot lizard. Or maybe the best.
You know what was going through my mind right then was when we had walked earlier that day to the concession stand at the racetrack.
Yeah.
And you were like, I wish if this had been a Joss Whedon show, it would have been smash cut to you at the concession stand going, "No, you know what? I'm going to get a bratwurst."
Because Johnsonville's right over there.
Yeah.
Turns out you can get those anywhere, and you don't get them anywhere. It's the thing. Don't get them anywhere. Don't get them anywhere.
Yeah.
Especially when you are mostly vegetarian.
And then the other thing I was thinking about was when you ordered the veggie burger at Burgers and Beignets, and I was just like, well, that's too little too late sort of situation there.
Yeah, you're just throwing good money after bad.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and also you spent like an hour and a half in the bathroom at Burgers and Beignets.
Because I had stuff to work through. Yeah. I wasn't just in there texting
sausages.
Like usual. Yeah. Things happened, Ian. My body was not in good shape. You know, after we came back, I had one of those, like, I was like, okay, like, I was talking to my girlfriend. I was like, I need like a salad, like a legit salad. And like, I even like paid $6 fucking for one of those cold pressed juice bullshit things from Whole Foods.
Oh my God.
Ian, I basically needed to coat the entire inside of my body with green things.
Yeah.
And guess what? It fucking worked. I turned around quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is why when we were on the way out there and 1010's guys were like, "Hey, let's go to barbecue." And you were like, "Oh, yeah, that sounds great."
Right.
I was like, "Dave,
I just wanted to be a team player."
I know.
I don't want to be that guy that's like, "Yeah, well, you know, I'd just rather have some tempeh."
But if we're honest,
I would have rather had tempeh. Ian.
So the other thing that happened in that clip was that there was a moment where I referred to you as a toddler.
Which is not a new thing.
No. But that was also some foreshadowing, like your Johnsonville brat moment was foreshadowing.
Which Johnsonville brat moment? Because it happened on my butt a bunch of times. Yeah, my butt had lots of moments.
Anyway, like Dave's previous sausage moment was foreshadowing to what was going to happen in that field. Me referring to Dave as a toddler, I'm going to say, was foreshadowing to the only moment where either of us have lost their patience with the other one.
Yes. Yep.
So far in our entire friendship.
Yes. Yeah.
The only time.
Well, that you know of. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, that could.
I'm just kidding.
It's the only time I can think of where I have lost patience with you.
Right. Yes. No. I'm just kidding. You are correct. It is the only time we have lost patience with each other.
So that is what you're about to hear now. And for anyone who has a toddler at home or has had a toddler at their house, you will instantly recognize my voice when I'm talking to Dave in this next clip.
You go dad voice.
I go straight dad voice, and there's a Samuel Jackson, or it's not a Samuel Jackson, but he does a reading of it. There's a book.
Oh, Go the Fuck to Sleep.
Yeah, a kid's book called Go the Fuck to Sleep. And if I had a copy of it, it would have gotten read to you.
Yeah, you should have had the audiobook queued up. Yeah.
So that's what you're about to hear right now.
Hey, Dave.
What?
Hey.
What?
We're still in Nebraska.
Fuck you, Nebraska. Fuck you.
What time is it? It's 4.
It's 4:20 something. 4:30 in the morning.
All right.
Ian.
Yeah.
Has it just been me that's been farting in here?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. No wonder you keep trying to put Altoids in places on me. In the places that need them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Ian.
Yeah.
Let's get a 4:30 in the morning report. How are you doing, buddy?
Fine.
Yeah, you're doing okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're cranking out the miles.
Yeah.
You're doing well.
Yeah. Wishing someone in the car would sleep a little bit.
I did sleep for like an hour.
You did not sleep for an hour.
I slept.
An Interpol album is not an hour and 15 minutes.
I didn't say I slept for an hour and 15 minutes.
But you listened to at least a couple of songs.
I heard a couple. I went in and out on what's the one that goes like, with the song part, 200 couches. I heard that one a little bit.
I think that's NYC Cares or something.
Yeah, yeah. I heard a little bit of that.
Okay.
Because they used to play that in the rock band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a band that I was in, but an actual video game.
I kind of figured.
Yeah, right? Because all of this in a rock band?
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Nope.
No, but you put me in front of some plastic drums. I can have some fun.
They had Interpol on Rock Band?
Yeah. They did.
That's funny. I never got in on the Rock Band craze.
Oh, that song's called PDA. PDA. The only reason I would do it is to play the drums, because that's the thing that most directly translates besides the singing.
Right.
And we all know how that worked out.
Yeah.
Besides the singing to a real instrument.
Right.
So that was kind of the only way I could live with myself.
Uh-huh.
Banging on plastic drums in my basement.
I had the Guitar Hero.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
For a little bit.
Uh-huh.
When that was popular with the Wii, we had a Wii.
Okay.
And I got sick of that pretty fast.
Do you know what I think is really, really fun?
What's that?
Is the DJ Hero one.
Oh, really?
That one's really cool. And actually, I need to look for a soundtrack, because they have really, really awesome mashups on there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you know how I love a mashup. A mashup?
A mashup.
A mashup.
A mashup. Yeah.
I love a mashup.
A mashup is great.
Yeah.
I like the jizz and the Radiohead
mashup. Yeah.
That's a really good one.
I like the Batals.
Yeah.
And the jizz mashup.
I haven't heard that mashup.
Yeah?
That sounds like a mashup that I would enjoy.
That's the Grey album. The Beatles and Jay-Z.
I thought you talking about I thought you were saying battles.
Yeah, I know. I said Beatles. Because we're doing the voice that we do. The Too Much Tuna guys. Our heroes.
That would backfire slightly. Because the Grey album, obviously, I'm probably heard that.
Yeah. I think you and I are kind of the Too Much Tuna guys.
Yeah, because we're old beyond our years.
Yes.
First of all,
we think a lot of things are really funny that are just not.
Right. I was gonna say we think we're funnier than we are.
Yes, exactly. We think we're just
we think
knocking on the door to success,
and we think everyone else are idiots. So that's pretty much.
There we go.
The oh hello guys.
Yeah. Wow. Nebraska.
Yeah, we're still in the status report. Still in Nebraska. We're still in the same state as the poop you left in a truck stop parking lot.
Oh, I'll probably have to pee in a while.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know, little Dave.
Okay.
All right, do you want to try to go back to sleep?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Let me give me a couple minutes to figure it out. Yeah.
Okay. Your conversation skills when you get really tired like this,
they just fall through the floor.
Yeah, but you're very excited to talk to me.
I am, because I love you.
Okay. But your actual ability to communicate, not so good.
Okay. Oh, so you're saying I'm bad on the mic right now? Yeah. What?
Do you want to try to go to sleep?
I love you.
I know. All right. Let's get you some juice, buddy.
Suck it, Nebraska!
Ian.
Hey, you know what? I think this blanket fort needs a sunroof.
So, I learned a lot about myself on this road trip. I learned a lot. One of those things is what happens when I am truly fatigued.
Yeah.
Right? Because I actually haven't really been in a situation like that for a while.
Is it you become really annoying? Is that what it is?
Well, see, here's the thing. It's like there's this weird intersection of best of intentions Dave and the physical limitations of Dave. And there's a gap there where one doesn't recognize the other, right? Because my intent is to be there for you and to stay awake and to help, you and I make this road trip, right? That's what I want. I want us to get home safely.
Yeah.
And obviously very earnestly, right?
Right. But that's not what the team needed right then.
No, and it wasn't, right? And my failure to recognize that, was not, it was very difficult for me to do that. So towards the end, when before the second time I went to sleep, right? You were asking me how I was doing. And I was like, you know what? I just need to take a minute and think about how I'm feeling. Right. And just kind of let myself, sit for a minute and not try to keep you going or anything like that.
Right.
Just actually take a second to let myself come to a realization of how tired I really was.
Right.
Because without doing that, I couldn't do that, and on top of that, my ADHD or ADD, super ADHD when I'm fatigued.
Right.
Right. I'm a hyper visual person anyway. Right? As we're sitting here, I'm lining up your head to the diamond quilting pattern on the blanket. That's just something I do.
Okay.
Right? And having that's just part of, how I look at things, right? And as I get better at managing ADD, and a better awareness of it, it's allowing me to get better at managing it. But when I'm fatigued, it's unmanageable.
Right.
It is like I can't manage it.
Yeah.
I don't have the facilities to say I need to continue focusing on this conversation instead of lining Ian's head up, his handsome head up on those quilted blanket patterns, right? Mm-hmm. Basically allowing something else to come in and like on the whiteboard, write a new thing in red letters on the whiteboard.
Right.
And so like, because that is largely, I heard that description of ADD a while ago, and it makes a lot of sense to me, right? Because I will have a visual trigger or visual stimulus, mm-hmm. and I will, that will get written on the whiteboard of my mind, right? Mm-hmm. And when I have my wits about me and when I am focused on something, I can acknowledge that it happened, mm-hmm. right? And I can say, you know what, you need to go down here for a little bit. Right. I'm going to go ahead and write you in smaller little gray letters, right? Uh-huh. We can think about you later, but we need to get back to the task at hand, mm-hmm. right? When I'm fatigued, nope. Yeah. You might as well just put like 17 toddlers with Sharpies in front of the whiteboard and just let them go at it. It looks like a goddamn Jackson Pollock in my mind.
And then what pops out is this car needs a sunroof.
I looked at the ceiling and was surprised that there wasn't a sunroof. I had that, and there was nothing in my mind that said, Dave, you need to actually manage this and actually take a nap.
Yeah.
That was gone. That was gone.
I have some thoughts on this. So that was a very, profound, introspective, reasoned way of looking at that situation. I would say another alternative reading to that is you just need to listen to your friend when he tells you to take a fucking nap.
No, you're exactly right. And that is 100%
not all that complicated with whiteboards of the mind. You just need to take a fucking nap sometimes.
Sometimes you do.
And you know what? If we had been in any other situation,
right,
your rambling and slurring your words and babbling about sunroofs for out of the blue would have been completely charming.
Right.
But I felt myself flagging, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to drive for 5 more hours.
Right.
So I'm going to need to sleep.
Yeah.
So this motherfucker over here needs to shut up.
Yeah.
And get to sleep.
Yep.
That was my thought process.
Right.
So that's why I lost patience. I shouldn't have lost patience.
No, you had every right to.
But I
had every right to.
I used my dad voice with you, and that was...
You should have. You should have. Ian, see, you wouldn't be a good friend if you just held that back and stewed. Right?
Right. Yeah.
You are a good friend, though, so you weren't afraid to tell me what needed to happen for us to successfully make the trip home.
That's true. I'm not afraid. I do pride myself on not shirking away from my duty to let my friends know when they're being fucking idiots.
That's the one thing you have no problem talking about.
Let's talk about what's wrong with you.
But feeling. Let's talk about what's wrong with you. You know what? Let me open up my Microsoft OneNote document, right? Actually, I had to put it in SQL.
Yeah.
Right? We had to make a database.
Yeah. What's wrong with Dave today?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You needed a relationary table. Yeah.
We need to go one episode without an IT joke.
Can't do it. Punch cards.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. No, I learned a lot about myself on that trip. That I need to listen to my friend. Mm-hmm. Yes, that I definitely need to do that. That I need to recognize the signs of fatigue. I need to take a beat and think about what is the best thing to do right then. Mm-hmm. Listen to how my body actually feels, and then just fucking do it. Right. And even though to the core of my being, I wanted to stay awake with you.
Yeah, because you're a toddler.
I know.
You're a giant toddler.
I was worried that you guys were going to have a whole bunch of fun and watch all kinds of cool television when I had to go to bed. I
don't know if my toys will be there when I wake up.
That's when all the fun stuff happens. Yeah. Is when I go to. You guys do all the fun stuff when I've gone to bed.
It's true, we do.
Yeah,
we do.
Right.
We do
when it turns out your parents just watch the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are just like, fuck, I'm glad he went to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ian, I am not the same person that I was before that road trip.
Yeah.
I learned a lesson. I would be a dick if I didn't.
Well, I don't think that it's that big of a deal. You just needed to take a nap. That's all it was.
That's probably not the last time you and I are going to take a road trip.
Well, I hope not.
Right?
I hope not. I hope it's the last time I have to watch you poop in a field, though.
Is it, though? Because you seem to have a pretty good time.
All right. So let's
Fuck Nebraska.
This is going on very long. Let's get it to the home stretch.
Okay.
This last push into Denver, and anyone who knows.
When you said push, I thought about pooping in a field.
Yeah, I'm sure. You're going to be triggered back to that field in Nebraska.
I just feel dewy grass on my legs.
and the eyes of several horny truckers.
Yeah, look more frightened. Look more frightened. Pretend I'm wearing a clown mask.
Oh man, if I had a clown mask.
If a fucking clown came up right then, I would have had a heart attack. You would have been doing a solo podcast.
Yeah.
It would have just been like you and my dogs.
Yeah. But what a way to go, though.
No.
With your pants around your ankles in a field in Nebraska?
Nope, that's not the way to go.
Well, it would have been funny for me. That would have been a good I want that added to the list of like situations where Dave died. For anyone who's new to the podcast, we have a running list of all of the situations in which Dave dies where I have to do the eulogy.
Yeah, you are mandated. Yeah, to do the eulogy.
And that one would just be me laughing for 30 minutes straight, I think. If you died due to seeing a clown while taking a shit.
Yeah.
That's a really specific, narrow one, but I feel like it should be on the list just in case.
And just like you hire 2 interns to wipe the tears away from your eyes because you're crying, you're laughing so hard, you're crying. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So
home stretch.
Okay. So this is what you're going to hear now is, it's that, again, emotional roller coaster of a road trip that long.
I'm going through it again in my mind.
Yeah. And so we're
Nebraska.
We're what? And at this point, we're back in Colorado. It's about an hour and a half from Denver.
Yes,
and
we made it to 76.
And we're now on the glide path home. The sun is back up. Now we're talking about music.
Yeah.
Which is, I know, what everyone loves for us to do on this podcast.
Yep.
But we do it anyway.
Yep.
Because you know what? We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, no, we recorded it, so we're going to use it.
Yep. And then that's what we're going to talk about. And then we'll be back to do a little wrap up.
Yep.
And then we'll send you on your way into the world with the vision of Dave pooping in the field.
My friend Matt saw the tweet that you sent, which was a fucking hilarious tweet. And
I don't remember what it was.
It was it's 3 a.m. We're in Nebraska, and at Nuck Nuck Goose is pooping in a field or something like that. Yeah. That one. And he was like, "So how's Nebraska?" And I was like, "Fuck Nebraska." And he was like, "Oh, I thought that was a joke." And I was like, "No, Matt, that was not a joke. That was
all too real.
Very real." Yes. Anyway, home stretch. Here we go.
Dave. Ian. First, the good news. We're in Colorado.
We are.
The sun is coming up.
It is.
It's 7 a.m.
Fuck you, Nebraska.
Yeah, fuck you, Nebraska. 7 a.m. Mountain time. We've been on the road now.
11 hours.
11 hours.
Oh, no.
No, 13 hours.
13 hours, yeah.
13 hours. Not for the bad news. I just made you listen to a 9-minute punk song.
You did.
And I don't think you enjoyed it, but I want to know. So it was called "A Pot in Which to Piss" by a band called Titus Andronicus off their album "The Monitor," which is one of my most favorite albums of the last 10, 15 years.
What year did it come out?
2010.
Tell the people what it's all about.
Dave has. I'm not going to say it's a 100% nostalgia-based music rating system.
No,
but
it's rooted in a fair amount of it.
Yeah, so it is. There's a formula to understand whether or not Dave is going to enjoy a piece of music.
Right.
And that formula is, if glitch, then yes. Else, Dave... Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. If not glitch, then no.
Right.
Else...
Yes.
Dave discovered the music between the years 92 and 98.
Like maybe 94 and 2000.
Okay, 94 and 2000.
Yeah.
Then yes.
Yes.
Everything else is just a hard no. Even if he listens to things that are similar to the thing that you played for him. Like this song, I would say, I didn't know before this trip that you liked Fugazi, which is why I thought, he might like Titus Andronicus.
Right.
But that doesn't always work with you.
No, it doesn't. It's hit or miss. So, like, there's stuff that I really, really like that I came into before that and after that.
Okay.
I came into the Pixies before that, and
Uh-huh.
I came into Talking Heads and Pulp after that.
But you
Right?
can hear
And
there's a lot
Interpol.
of all of the things that we just talked about in what we just listened to.
And Interpol after that. Right?
Yeah.
And so I don't like the guy's voice. Right?
Okay. Yeah, I can see that could be a stumbling block.
Right. The concept of the album, like, have we run people through that yet? Do they know this?
Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know, it's a punk band who decided to do it's a concept album, and these songs are like, anywhere from 5 to 9 minutes long. And there's a lot of kind of unique instrumentation for a punk band. Like we heard horns and strings, and piano, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's a very ambitious concept album, kind of about the Civil War, but also kind of about this guy growing up in New Jersey. And so it's like the lyrics kind of alternate between talking about teenage angst and the American Civil War.
So I think something that could do you a favor when you're explaining this to someone else is to tell them that kind of in state that you told me.
Okay, yeah. So
unless you feel like you're spoiling something for people,
no, but
because that helped me understand it.
So this goes back to our
conversation about wanting to button something up.
Yeah,
or having an open-ended.
Yeah, this goes back to epilogue versus no epilogue.
When you tell me this is a concept album about growing up in New Jersey, but framed in the context of the Civil War.
Yeah,
that right there is not enough at all for me to want to engage with said material.
Oh, see that to me. That was what I was told about it, and I was just like,
"That's just chum in the water."
Oh yeah, I gotta dive in and figure out what that's all about.
You're just putting on the skinny jeans, getting your whiskey and your vintage turntable cranked up. You're ready to go.
Yeah, that was pretty much how that happened.
Meanwhile, like, nope. For me, I'm like, if you don't drop the word motherfucker in the first 3 lyrics, I'm out. I'm out. I want to know what I'm getting into right away.
It does have a really good lyric in it. Well, you ain't never been no virgin kid. No, you were fucked from the start.
Right, and I'm not going to debate that.
And there's tons of great lyrics in there
because
like that.
This album is just seething with talent and ambition. Right?
Yes, and that's what I like, the ambition. Like you could tell they were going for something huge.
But to get back to the beginning and end kind of thing, the epilogue versus open-ended thing.
Yeah.
Like I was having a hard time understanding how the Civil War and growing up in New Jersey correlated.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm trying to think are there geography references and things like that? But then you broke it down because I'm a simpleton. You said, well, at some point in the album, they kind of frame the punks as one side and everybody else as the other side, right? So it's them versus society, and I understand that, like, framing that the Civil War efforts versus those societal efforts.
Right.
I get that. And if you give me that from the get-go, I'm going to enjoy the album way more.
Okay.
Way more.
Yeah, to me, I like that mushy sort of like, oh, I want to hear how he pulls this off.
Nope.
That's what I want to hear.
No, because for me, it's like, okay, I have that knowledge in my head. Then I can hear a lyric and be like, oh, yeah, I get what you're going for.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So I like punk like Face to Face. I like No Use for a Name.
I don't know any of these bands.
Really?
Yeah. I was never really into punk. So I have to have some other hook for punk music. I can't just do straight ahead punk.
Right, and this is more like heavy chord driven punk.
Oh, okay.
Instead of just like screaming.
Right.
And just being bad because it can be, and it's punk, and it's just rebellion.
Right.
This is actually like melodic and stuff like that.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I like the more melodic punk, right?
Right.
So, which fits for this.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So I like the sound. Don't like the lead singer's voice, but I mean, that's just how it goes.
Right.
And sometimes those kinds of people can grow on you. Sometimes they can't.
Mm-hmm.
I like the chord progressions. I like how they change up like a 9-minute song.
Yeah, there's like little vignettes.
There's three songs like in there.
At least, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's fine. Like I like that. The first part of that 9-minute song, I did not care for whatsoever.
Yeah, you kind of have to get through that part. Yeah,
it was more centered around his voice.
Yeah,
but it's, I don't know, in a way that's like somebody giving me a dish, and they're like, "Well, you got to get through that like rotten kale to get to the good part."
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, well, I know that there's stuff I like in here.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna get to it.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. It is ambitious as hell. It sounds great. It's just not my thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I do like the concept now that I understand it more.
Okay.
I do. I really appreciate the concept. Yeah. The last thing I'm ever going to do about your music selection is make you feel bad for liking what you like. Right?
Oh, I'm not worried about that. I'm not. I don't care about that
because like this is talented stuff.
You're not gonna call me a fag and punch me in the stomach. So
no,
we're already a step beyond what I was grew up with in high school. So we're good.
No, like you have very discerning taste, and I appreciate that. Yeah,
I feel like you should be allowed to like whatever you want as long as you can defend it in some way. Like, this is what I like about it. This is why I like it.
Yeah. I'll defend Lady Gaga.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm into that.
She writes a catchy fucking song and has an amazing voice.
Yeah. All of the above.
And every time I hear it, I do the Bad Romance dance, like Yeah.
Anyway, you should all listen to The Monitor by Titus Andronicus and let us know what you think.
Write us an email, teamclearcoat@gmail.com. Let us know.
Yeah.
What side you fall on in this Civil War.
Oh, I see what you did there. Yeah.
We could have just talked about it and let the concept sit.
But no, you had to put a bow on it.
I had to put a bow on it.
Yep.
That's just who I am, Ian. I'm full of bows.
I know. I'm going to be ripping the epilogues out of books, and you're going to be going right behind me and putting them back in.
Well, it depends.
Yeah.
The one about the Jason Bourne thing is some bullshit.
It is some bullshit.
No, I like it when there's some mystery to it sometimes.
Yeah.
So
we are an hour and a half from Denver. What's your mindset? You're driving right now.
I'll show you.
That's the sweet, sweet sound of a Nissan Quest accelerating.
To safely within the bounds of the speed limit.
Yeah. Why we were that far below the speed limit before.
Yeah, that's on us. That we could do a decent pull in the Nissan.
Yeah.
For, I don't know, 40 miles an hour? 30 miles an hour?
We're 100 miles away.
Yep.
Is this our last update?
I don't know. Like for good? Oh my God, what's happening?
No, it's on this trip.
I don't know. Should we button it up in the studio?
Yeah.
Okay.
Back to the blanket fort.
Okay, you good-looking pair of imbeciles in the blanket fort. We love you. You're going to be more well-rested than we are right now.
That's true.
Let's talk to our future selves, Ian.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hey, don't just drive to Wisconsin for dumb reasons.
Yeah.
Because you'll be tired when you get home.
Yeah. Also, Dave, you probably have a boogie. Get it.
Yeah.
In your nose.
And also, Dave, I'm sorry about whatever happened with your colon.
Oh, God.
Between now and when we're talking to you.
Yeah. Who knows how this is going to pan out.
So, and a pro tip for all of the listeners out there, if you're a vegetarian, don't spend 3 days shoving sausages in your mouth just because you're in Wisconsin, because it turns out that doesn't go well.
And you want to, win in Rome the whole situation.
Yeah.
And, that's really not a great thing to do, to line your entire insides with cheese and grease, which is pretty much just cheese and grease, for 3 days, when you can't get lettuce on a sandwich.
Yeah. Did you notice that at the burger place, lettuce was like an expensive addition?
Yeah, that was the expensive edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they gotta fly it in from civilization.
Oh my God. All vegetables grow everywhere. I think all they do is grow corn and turn it into high fructose corn syrup.
They turn it into feed for the cows.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
that's what they do.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only vegetable.
The only vegetable in Wisconsin.
It's the only vegetable. That would be the saddest poem.
The only vegetable
or the saddest
in Wisconsin.
Children's book.
Yeah.
The only vegetable in Wisconsin.
And then it gets eaten by a ravenous 6'4" ginger at the end of it.
Oh, I'm tired of getting the meat sweats out of my butt.
Oh man, I feel like this 4 days has just been one long, slow meat sweat.
Yes. I think what we've been doing is we've been hotboxing ourselves in the minivan with our own farts, and now we have legitimately lost brain cells.
I think it's possible. It's possible that I never drove a race car this weekend, and you never pit crewed for a race car. And what happened was we are still in the parking lot of the barbecue place.
Yep.
Back in Des Moines.
Yep.
And we have been hallucinating this whole thing off of meat sweat and farts.
Yep. It's just been a meaty fever dream.
We still are on our way to Wisconsin.
And those awesome 1010 guys, Robbie and Adam, are just knocking on the window. And we're going to come to in a second.
Yep.
What? We've been podcasting the whole time? Oh.
And Ian was going, vroom, vroom, vroom.
Exactly.
Whew. All right. Let's wrap this up.
Okay.
Whatever this is.
Ian?
Yeah.
We've gone a long way.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say.
Oh, God.
Yep.
Here we go.
No.
Dave's got his earnest voice on again and his
and my pontificating finger.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So remember what I said early on in the road trip. I wasn't worried about you and I breaking down. Right?
Yeah.
How true is that? Hell?
No, yeah, we've been good. We've been good. Other than the only time, I'll confess the one time being slightly annoyed with you.
Okay.
Trying to get you to take a fucking nap earlier.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a struggle.
That was a learning opportunity for me. Yeah, because I really want to push through and be there for you.
Yeah.
So I'm conflicted between how exhausted I am and how much I want to support my buddy and make sure he's awake.
He was so tired he was slurring his words.
Yeah.
You sounded drunk.
I did. I did, and I'm not happy about that.
At one point, he just like was almost tall, tuckered out, and in bed, and then he just sits bolt upright from his like super reclined position. He goes, "This car should have a sunroof," and I was just like, "For fuck's sake, go to sleep."
It's a good thing you didn't have chloroform. You could have just been like, does this rag smell funny to you? I don't know. Oh, sleepy time.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right.
Yeah. But
All right.
Ian,
Yes.
you and I had a good trip.
We did have a good trip.
I want to thank your dad.
Yeah.
And your uncle.
Yeah.
Eric and Craig.
Uh-huh.
Right? I want to thank Dwayne.
Yeah.
I want to thank Jake.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Everybody was awesome. And yeah, big thanks to your dad and Craig.
Yeah.
Big thanks to Dwayne.
Yeah. I agree with all of this.
Yep. And
Seconded.
And there we go. Yes. Jake, we'll see you again sometime soon.
Yep.
And there we go.
All right. Back to the blanket fort.
You dashing individuals with nice butts.
Get that Dave on the phone. I want the only vegetable in Wisconsin on my desk stat.
That would be the worst children's book in the world.
I think it'd be a good one.
The only vegetable in Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I swoop in and eat it because I'm like, oh, bok choy. Oh. Gesture wildly and hit the microphone.
Yeah.
Oh, what is that? Celery? Fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah. I know. So we've talked about this before. I'm from that area of the country. It's
Good job getting out.
It's amazing. No, I mean, you know, it has its charms. It does. It's bucolic.
It is beautiful. Fucking weak ass coffee.
That's true. Wisconsin coffee is some bullshit.
That is some bullshit.
So no joke. So when we used to go to my grandmother's house, my aunt and I used to smuggle in instant coffee to put into the coffee. Just so it was,
because it was so weak.
Just so it was recognizable as coffee.
Fuck. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically a like you take one shot of espresso for an entire like carafe. Yeah. And that's their Americano ratio.
It's hot water that's vaguely brown.
Yes, that is exactly it.
Right.
Oof. And when we were at the track, I had to try it just because I was like, how bad could this be? Turns out really fucking bad.
Yeah.
Really fucking bad, Ian.
I just want to say, I feel like I did not lie to you or exaggerate the issues you were going to have, because I believe I warned you about no vegetables and weak coffee.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Both of those things.
Yeah, you did. And you were exactly right.
I know my people.
You do. Fucking weak ass coffee.
Weak-ass coffee.
Yeah. Anyway,
so
the worst children's book. The worst, guys. The worst children's book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
And then I swoop in and eat it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what did we learn? What did we learn from all of this?
I talked about managing fatigue, recognizing the signs, how fucking vicious my ADD gets when I'm really tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. How I need to listen to my friend. How thrilling it can be to push a Maserati around a track for 7 hours.
Yeah, I think much more than because the RX-7 weekend had a little bit more of an element of chaos to it.
Yep.
Just barely controlled chaos.
Yeah.
Even though we weren't like actually competitive this weekend with the Maserati, I feel like this was a better picture of what a team that we were central to could be.
Yep.
A race team, like the dynamic that we would actually have if we were running a race team.
Yeah.
Kind of.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think you and I would work well together in that capacity.
Which is good. Yeah. And I think we learned a lot of lessons that we've already started to apply to our strategy with getting ready for next year with the Saab.
Right. So. Yeah. Clear and honest communication, like really like, okay, like, well, talking about like where we want to focus our efforts and energy and things like that. And, like, being open to what the other person has to say, like that's something you and I I think do really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Except for when it's 4 a.m. and you're telling me to go to sleep.
Go the fuck to sleep, Dave.
That's the last time that's ever going to happen.
Okay, I don't believe you, but that's fine. That's fine. If that's the worst thing that we have to worry about.
True. Yeah, then we don't really have much of a problem.
Yeah, no, that's not a big deal.
We're lucky to do what we do, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
We really are.
Let's move it on to plugs.
And we're lucky that people actually listen to us.
That's very true.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for hanging with us, people out there.
Yeah.
Listening to episodes 1 and 2 of our Road America adventure.
Yeah, if you made it this far into all this, wow.
Yeah. Sorry.
Maybe you should do some self-reflection and figure out what the fuck's wrong with you.
Ian, don't criticize the fans. We've got them.
I know. I'm joking. I'm joking.
This is phase 1 of me becoming a cult leader, okay?
Yeah.
Don't send them away yet.
I know. All right. What should people do on the internet?
What else did you learn, Ian? What else did you learn?
Oh, I think it's more, I recognize now a little bit the plateau that I'm on with my driving.
Okay.
And I'm comfortable with it because I know I feel more confident now to say like, okay, I can drop into a car and not make an complete idiot of myself.
Oh no.
And be fine.
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of frustration that I need, like we talked about with Jake on his show, that I do need help getting to that next level, and I need to do some investment in that. And so that's a little bit daunting to try to like kind of, get off this plateau that I feel like I'm on, which I don't know if it's totally accurate or not, but that's what it feels like.
Well, you're only 3 real races in.
Yeah. Still, I mean, that's a lot of seat time though. I've had, quite a bit of seat time now. So
no, I don't think it's a lot of seat time.
No,
how many hours of seat time have you had in 3 races?
Including test and tune days in the, in traffic or whatever. I mean, I guess less than 20 hours.
Much less than 20, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ian.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't push yourself, because you do, and you push yourself very well. Mm-hmm. Right. I don't want to see you beat yourself up for having limited experience and then thinking you're on some plateau that you may or may not be on.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So but I do feel more motivated to just like get into as many race cars next year as I possibly can afford without bankrupting my family.
Okay.
And then, I feel like we learned a little bit about how we can work together.
Yes.
On a team. And I think we know more about, maybe some gaps that we need to fill in our team.
Yep.
As far as drivers and crew and all of that. And I'm excited for you to start racing. I'm excited for you to start driving, and figure out how to make a seat works for both of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Okay. Cool, man. Cool.
Yeah. That weekend went as well as everything went, aside from you pooping in a field, went as well as it possibly could have. The drive there and back, the race weekend itself. I feel like that was the best case scenario, and I wish we could live in that weekend for a long time. It was a lot of fun, and I want to be in a race car constantly now. So, yeah.
You've gotten the bug. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah. I just need to figure out how to make it happen. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Nice. Okay, let's do some plugs.
Yes.
You, Ian.
Yeah.
You dashing individual.
Okay.
You're on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
You're on Twitter and Instagram.
I am.
At I Roll So Hard. EYE Roll So Hard.
Yes.
Guys, you should follow Ian. He's really funny.
Okay.
I am on the internet, Twitter and Instagram. Nuck Goose. NUK Goose.
Yes.
Occasionally I'll tweet out a joke. Something like that. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lots of bike selfies.
Lots of bike selfies.
So stay tuned for when it's on burst mode and it catches it when it goes wrong.
Smash cut to Ian doing my eulogy.
Yeah.
TeamClearCoat is on the internet. Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, Team ClearCoat.
And Discogs. I created a group on Discogs.
Discogs.
If you really are, if you're the one person who enjoyed listening to us talk about music and you collect vinyl, we created a group on Discogs for no apparent reason.
You know what else we could do? We could curate a list of video games on Steam.
That's a good idea, too.
We'll do that. I'll start to put together a list.
Okay.
I mean, Project Cars, Assetto Corsa, and, that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I like it.
Team ClearCoat recommends.
Yes.
Yeah. So also rate and review us on iTunes. We would love it if you would do that.
Yes.
Tell somebody about the show. It helps, it helps grow our base and
our
eventually
our
hashtag brand and my inevitable rise to a cult leader.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because I know who my number 2 guy is going to be. Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. So rate and review us, tell a friend, and shoot us an email.
Yeah, send us an email.
Yeah, we would love to hear from you. And again, if you did find us when we were at Road America, if you came to the show because you had an awkward interaction with Ian and or I, shoot us an email and let us know. We would love to hear from you. And we're looking forward to seeing more people at more races, even though they might not be looking forward to seeing us.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep. So yeah, this has been Burgers and Beignets.
Burgers and Beignets. Yeah. I'm tired. Did you hear that?
Yep.
That was it.
Yep.
That was it. Burgers and Beignets.
Yep.
Can't finish my own words. And I'm slurring a little bit.
You are.
Yep. Fatigue.
Sleepy Dave.
Yeah. It's almost 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Did a lot of mountain biking today.
Go the fuck to sleep, Dave.
Okay.